When Gordon arrived on the railway, Sir Topham Hatt purchased brand new express coaches for him. Gordon was well pleased. The old coaches felt left out. Time and wear led the railway inspectors to see them as unworthy of the main line. "Cheer up," smiled Edward. "You'll still be useful on the branch line trains." "Branch lines? How embarrassing!" While Henry was shut in the tunnel, Edward took over his local trains. He knew all about being left behind, and brought the old coaches out every chance he got. This cheered them up, until Gordon voiced his opinions. "A pity," he sniffed, "but that's the price of progress. I suppose it's only natural that modern engines require modern coaches." "Is that so?" smirked Edward. "Why, I think you'd look most distinguished pulling these old dears." "No, thank you," Gordon harumphed. "They'd be open-top carriages before I even reached top speed. Now these are proper coaches," he finished. "Is that what they are? I thought someone had stretched out the goods vans, and you were doing some real work for a change," laughed Thomas. Edward couldn't help but chuckle, and Gordon fumed out of the station. "Settle down, Gordon," scolded the driver. "You'll do a number on yourself." Real work," muttered Gordon. "I'll show those engines a thing or two about real work." Then next morning, Gordon tried to leave the sheds, but he couldn't. "What's happened to me?" he groaned. "Something's wrong with your tender brakes," sighed the fireman. "And with how you were going about yesterday, I'm not surprised." "And you thought the old coaches were the ones who would fall apart," laughed Thomas. "This is no time for teasing. The express must go out on time." "And how?" grunted Gordon. "You aren't strong enough to pull those coaches." Edward glanced at the coaches in the carriage sidings. He spotted something else. The passengers were growing impatient. There was no train ready for them, and it would soon be time to leave. The fat controller had just stepped out of his office when he saw Edward steaming in with all the old coaches he could find. The passengers were surprised, but thankful they had a train at all. The fat controller smiled. "Well done, Edward. Don't push yourself too hard now." "I may not match Gordon's pace, sir, but I'll have a jolly good try." The guard blew his whistle, and Edward started away. Soon, he was coasting down the main line. He whooshed through the tunnel, giving Henry quite a surprise. "Go on, Edward! Go on!" he cheered. Come along, Edward puffed. "Gentle and fast, gentle and fast." At the last station, the passengers cheered and thanked Edward. Edward just smiled. He was thankful for a rest and a drink. "Well, dears, how did you fancy a return to the glory of the express?"
"Oh, it was lovely, although perhaps you were right. Some leisurely branch line work sounds most enticing."
"Well, I'd say it's time for a well-earned rest in the carriage shed. Come along." That won't be necessary. The fat controller has given me temporary reprieve from the mainline work. I shall escort these fine coaches to the shed." "That's not what he said. He said you were to shunt in the yard until you learned not to be so big in the smoke box."
"Take us away then, double quick, chop chop."
Edward and Thomas laughed. Gordon shuffled silently away.